Everybody, my name is John Belitsky. I'm the co-founder of Balcony DAO, and we are creating the world's first real estate NFT, solving what I believe is the hardest problem on the blockchain. And before I go into this, Pedro, I think we have to speak truth. We have to speak truth today. So I want to tell you a true story of the first second I met Pedro. So we paid for this luncheon. Enjoy your food. I meet Pedro, and he says, "What are you working on?" And I said, "We're building a real estate NFT." This is the most positive pro-blockchain man in the room, and he just rolled his eyes at me. He said, "Everybody tried it, everybody failed." This is the hardest problem in the space. This is the problem everybody wants to solve. This is a $326 trillion market. This is the largest asset class in the world, and that not one person is transacting the way we're discussing transacting today. In a $326 trillion market, nobody's doing what we're speaking about today. Guys, we are early. This is the beginning of a huge, huge shift. And the problem that we're addressing is quite simple. Anybody here own a house?
Nobody.
Nobody. One person here owns a house.
Anybody doesn't own a house?
We'll get you one.
How many people are not going to put their hands up regardless of what we ask? Perfect.
Buying real estate
I'm one of them. I'm not putting my hands up for shit either. Go ahead.
Real estate sucks. It's just hard to buy. It's an old, antiquated process. We're buying real estate today the way Jesus bought his house. It's not an efficient process.
Jesus, how did you buy your house?
What's that?
Our sound guy's named Jesus.
How the sound guy bought his house. So what we've created is a wrapper, right? Our real estate NFT is a protocol. Our protocol will be the protocol used to transact real estate. And what it does is it takes as a string literal, right? Essentially a hash lib. And at every single position in that hash lib, we describe with absolute specificity a real estate asset. We create absolute transparency inside of that NFT. So you know if a property is existing or proposed, if it's residential or multifamily, if it's industrial, if it's retail, all of this exists inside of this hash lib. If it's leased, what the escalations are. Instead of having all this information live off blockchain and then you access it on the blockchain, it lives inside of the NFT. And this is the protocol you attach to trade assets, real world assets, with alacrity. And this is going to change everything. The discount in real estate that we experience because of the illiquidity of it disappears, it vanishes. We're increasing the value of every asset that we play with. And our approach, because we're real estate guys, my team over here, we come from real estate. We come from real estate, and we feel that we have a responsibility to shepherd this industry forward in a way where 20, 30 years from now, we're the HTTPS of real estate. You're using our real estate NFT technology because we built it in a durable way that allows you to trade. And so the first deal that we're going to do is our own. We're doing a $250 million project in New Jersey in the Opportunity Zone, and you get access to a real-world asset that we build on the blockchain. It's birthed on the blockchain. It lives in the NFT. And you get the real-world tax advantages of an Opportunity Zone inside of this NFT. So this is not just some fictitious asset. This is an asset that gives you real-world value, real-world bricks, real-world tax advantages. And we can do that today. You still rolling your eyes, Pedro?
Yeah, no, I actually have a couple of questions for you. I'm not going to roll my eyes for you, but I'm going to give you the hardball questions. Anybody who knows anything about me, I don't care if you sponsor any event that I host, at the end of the day, you cannot buy my opinion. Bottom line. There's a reason why we have the reputation that we have, and through the organizations that I've been a part of and the ones that I spearhead, specifically Crypto Mondays here in San Juan and other markets that I've been to. One thing that people know about me is that ultimately, we stand on truth. And the truth is that what you're talking about doing has been extremely difficult, not necessarily from a technological point of view, but from a regulatory perspective. And the regulatory perspective, we talked about security tokens 2 years ago. Brock, who's not here yet, will be here shortly, told me 2 years ago, he told me security tokens are going to be bigger than everything else in crypto combined times 10. We still haven't come anywhere near that, right? And it's not because security tokens, again, cannot be created. It's because they can't be traded. And they can't be traded because of the regulations that are associated with it. So how is it that Balcony DAO is plans on solving that particular aspect of this project that you want to create?
We don't solve it, we service it. We have a security. Our product is a security. AML, KYC, Reg D, security. We're selling an NFT as a security. If you want to access it without going through Reg D, without going through an SEC process, we have our currency, right? Our Balcony coin. And that gives you the derivative value of that real estate. Insofar as every transaction that happens in our native currency. And we do that so that a portion of that transaction fee goes to the DAO. And the DAO is our entire real estate ecosystem. So when that only person here who owns a house bought his home, he sat at that closing table with 15 people around the table, all those people live in the DAO. But now they're being paid in our coin, in our currency. And the NFT, which represents the actual asset, is a security. And we're not talking around it. We're servicing it. And I think that's a huge distinction. People have been knocking themselves out trying to make pretend that real estate, once tokenized, is not a security. And we are adamant that it is a security, and we embrace it. And to the point of the gentleman who were up here earlier, there's good reason for some of this regulation. It may be a real pain in the ass. I may not like it, but I understand the rationale behind it, and we're servicing it. And I think that's crucial.
Perfect. How does the SEC feel about what you're saying?
They're going to love it.
Going to love it, or do they love it?
Look.
What does your attorney say? Who is your attorney, by the way? We're going to give him a free shout out. Who's your lawyer?
We have five. One of them is Rich Gora. Rich Gora has been the guy that's been helping us the most with this. He's helping out the Lakers right now in building their NFT. His advice is, quite simply, we're doing everything kosher. Everything that we're doing meets the approval.
He's Jewish?
Of the NFT. No, he's not. And
so he can't say we're doing it kosher. But I'm just go ahead.
So we're also the exact opposite. So I'm half Jewish, half Dominican. He's half Puerto Rican, half Muslim. We're like the mirror opposite human beings.
I am 100% Puerto Rican and 100% Muslim.
Me too, my friend.
Perfect. Now, with that being said, how is your lawyer guaranteeing that this is something that can fly, and then ultimately I can purchase your tokens, and then where can I trade them at?
Well, so you have to understand, the biggest issue with bringing a $326 trillion industry onto the blockchain is you can't just bring the industry onto the blockchain, which is why we're starting with virgin land that we're developing in New Jersey. We're taking that project, putting it on the blockchain while we're filing it in real life, carbon-based way that we have all transacted in real estate before. What our objective is to begin to show this cleave, right? We're showing the industry the path onto the blockchain by on-ramping ourselves with a virgin piece of property that is free of all encumbrances with perfect title from day one. And now our responsibility is to maintain that perfect title by reporting and recording inside of this NFT for perpetuity. And that's our commitment to our industry. That's our commitment to you guys in this community. This is how we move onto the blockchain for the largest asset class that has ever existed.
Excellent. How does your project see itself manifesting itself here in Puerto Rico?
Look, we want to develop transformative projects, right? So the Opportunity Zone project we're doing in New Jersey, 154 units. It's being developed by Roy Stillman. He's a prominent New York City developer. We de-risked a deal with great sponsors. We're building properties that change communities because ultimately we want this room to exist in real space in these properties. We want to change these cities everywhere we go. This is a place that we want to change because this is a place that wants to be changed. This is a place that's calling out for change. This is a place that wants the capital, and the capital will become productive here. So we want to be here, but we want the best sponsors here.
Excellent. So with Balcony DAO, number one is, how'd you get the name Balcony DAO? How does that go together? Where's the balcony come in?
The balcony is this reference to, obviously, the physical structure, right? We feel like we are ourselves standing on this balcony, peering out into the metaverse. We're sort of on this shore, looking at this blue ocean in front of us. This is our vision of where we're going. We're looking out 20, 30 years from our balcony, and we're digitizing this completely arcane business that we all grew up in and love.
Perfect. Anyone got any questions for Mr. Belitsky? Nobody got a question? Can I get you to come a little closer? Thank you.
This is the question that everybody has. The question is there a title? What do we do about all the silly paper? Does it just go away? And the answer is you cannot transition from paper to digital and have the municipalities respect the value of the title that we're producing. So what we're doing instead is we're taking the title from day one, we're paying for it, but we're digitizing it, putting it on the blockchain. And what we're creating is the option for people to say, okay, from this date forth, this is the demarcation point. This thing has had clean title from this point. Every single thing that's happened, we did our job as stewards of that asset and placed all of the data on the blockchain. I have great confidence that these guys are as accurate as the title company based on this fact set. So that's our goal, right? Is to create truth.
So eventually, it could be that municipalities, politicians, and all the insurance companies will just say, okay, I can look at the government-maintained paper, or I can look at this blockchain, and we eventually hope that we have trust in the newer system.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's why we feel this responsibility. If we can do this in a way that gives people great confidence that we have prosecuted the absolute truth, then one day the municipalities will demand it. And that's how we transition. But you can't just take out a stick and beat the municipalities into doing what you want.
So my question is this: since we're investing in Puerto Rico, I'm Puerto Rican, is there any way to get, like, let's say for example, sailboat? If you get a big enough sailboat, can you just use that as your home of residence?
What about other assets? Is basically what he's saying. Other than actual real estate, maybe we talk about some of the.
So we would love to have our hand in all real world assets. The most complicated real world asset really is real estate. And sometimes it's difficult for people to grok, but in real estate, unlike a sailboat, for example, you have the fee, you have the title insurance, you have the mortgage recording, you have the individual leases on the property, the escalations on the property. All of these things have to exist inside of this digital document for it to be a valid way to create absolute liquidity and for people to trade it, right? So it's a ton of data. So we're starting with actually the hardest use case and the simplest approach, which is virgin land. But one day, yeah, absolutely, I could see us doing sailboats, any real world assets.
One more question for you, John.
So if I understand you correctly, you're basically segregating the government title from now your NFT-based blockchain recognition of what the entity is. How are you going to get normal people that aren't in cryptocurrency, that aren't into this sort of technology, to buy into a building that, if I understand correctly, you're not going to be able to get a mortgage on it?
We're funding the entire property at cash flow zero in cash. We're getting a 20% discount on the terminal value that we sell the investors. And while we're building the building, we're pushing it into DeFi and we're juicing the yield. And we're looking at, for example, BlockFi is an 8% yield that we can get with BlockFi. We can go to Coinbase. One of our partners who's here today, who's been instrumental in sort of bringing this project to the fore, Tom McLaughlin at Coral Capital, is going to act as our custodian and handle the entire DeFi portion of our project to juice those yields. So the answer is, how do you get people to do things? In this room, we believe there's one great way to get people to do things. We pay them. We give you value. So the two values that you get are, one, the increased yield, but two, the asset that you end up with that now lives on the blockchain is more valuable to a similar asset that is not on the blockchain. Because you can buy the blockchain version of that same asset with greater certainty that you're getting an asset with perfect title, that you can transfer with alacrity, that you can borrow against quickly and hypothecate and move in and out of. You can have a mortgage for a day. 10 years from now, you may have a mortgage for a week.
Yeah, I get and understand all of that, but it's great to talk about that in this room. It's a captive audience, and we all kind of sort of get it, or we're trying to get it. That's why we're here. But if real estate prices based on supply and demand, you're taking out a huge, if I understand what you're saying, you're taking out a huge percentage of the demand, because what, 1 in 10, 1 in 20, 1 in 50 are the only individuals that will actually look at that project, because they're traditionally looking for a traditional mortgage with a traditional bank. And although that's going to go away, it's going to be a period of time until that happens. So you build I'm a real estate guy, right? I build a structure and I go to sell it. Mm-hmm. You're going to, if I understand what you're doing, you're going to sell the whole thing to crypto guys.
No, absolutely not. We're building it with crypto money.
Okay.
We're getting the yield from crypto money. Our sale process is an analog sale process like any other one that exists today. But the difference is we're taking the onus to then put that project or that transaction onto the blockchain. So you're getting that value whether you care about crypto or the blockchain or not, because we're doing it, because we know it has value. So you can still encumber that asset. You can go hypothecate and get a mortgage, and that mortgage exists on our blockchain. It exists inside of the real estate NFT that describes that encumbrance.
And you have a real world like lender like Bank of America, a traditional mortgage lender that will allow that?
It's parallel tracks, right? So going back again to the beginning, the reason why everybody has failed is that they've decided they want a hard fork to the digital world, and Bank of America and Mrs. Jane Doe, none of these people want this yet. And so our solution is one at a time. We transition these things on parallel tracks. We're taking the real world's carbon-based, inane ridiculousness, and we're making a digital copy of it on the blockchain. And when these people catch up to where we are today in this room, it'll be there waiting for them because we put it there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Last question.
Firstly, thank you for being here. Thanks for being aggressive, going after the evolution of utilizing the NFT marketplace.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Because you're forging the trail. And some of us are sitting on the sidelines anticipating what this opportunity is going to represent.
Some of us are watching the first guy walk through the door, catch all the bullets.
Amen. That's right. You don't want to go down with a bullet in your back. I did that, having launched a compliant business in 2014, going through federal regulatory compliance audits, and basically getting the microscope stuck up your butt while they're trying to look at your tonsils. My point is very clear: is in the aspect of doing what you're doing.
Did you get the microphone out?
And compliance, yeah. Thank you. Put it up. Thank you. In the aspect of compliance and regulatory issues, those of us that might want to participate in a project like this, how do we avoid the regulatory intervention that could occur? Because you have a chain of title opportunity now that creates this unique opportunity, and that's part of the opportunity that you're addressing. But
how many feds we got in the house? Does anybody here work for the federal government? If you work for the federal government, we're tired of talking about the regulators like they're a ghost to somebody.
Yeah.
If you're a regulator, you got to wake up. Bottom line. I'm going to tell you why you have to wake up. You have to wake up because entrepreneurs vote with their feet. Does anybody have a clue why I spend so much time in Dubai and not in Puerto Rico? It's because they can actually do things and execute things that the SEC, the IRS, and every other alphabet boy, the organization that the United States federal government actually employs can't agree on shit.
Yeah.
And they can't figure out what is what. So ultimately, entrepreneurs vote with their feet. It's the reason why all of you guys are here and not whatever state you moved from is because the state you moved from decided to have different regulatory issues concerning the taxes that you were paying on. So essentially, you all voted with your feet to move here. So the regulators in our entire country need to understand that, need to recognize that we're global people, and our money spends everywhere. We take it with us in our pockets. So ultimately, we can go anywhere we want and do business. And this is the challenge that I have when I talk about regulatory frameworks all the damn time, is that we act like these regulators are like, they're like some unforeseen entity that they're impossible to speak to and to get through. And what they don't realize is they are regulating the United States out of innovation.
Absolutely.
And the rest of the world is catching up quickly.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So
I'm sorry.
how do you address the secondary market? Because ultimately,
by the way, nobody raised their hand to work for the feds. I know you got a couple feds in here. Stop it.
Yeah, well, I've been there. I've done that.
It.
Yeah.
Stop it. I know who you are.
How are we as a community, you in the endeavor of your project, addressing having the guidelines written in advance? Because that's what the feds look at. It's not about where you're at now. It's did you set all of it up so that you're operating compliant? I'm just curious.
So the answer is we're operating compliant. We're servicing the stupidity because it is much more expedient than trying to blaze a new trail. It's just too hard to get regulators to understand what's happening. So we're selling a security. It's Reg D compliant. It's SEC compliant. Our initial product is a security. Once you build it and you have this NFT, you're selling a home.
So let me just close out with this. This is my vision for the future for regulatory framework. And the reason why I say it's my vision for the future is because I'm fucking building it. And ultimately, the regulators that I communicate with globally that have the ability to move quickly and adjust, and the reason why is because they have necessity in their markets and they want to experience growth within their markets and they want to help their people leapfrog other economies. Regulatory framework is going to be built on smart contracts.
Yes, it is.
So everything that you're looking at for compliance in terms of how do we make such and such compliance will be built into the protocol layers. The protocol layers for each individual industry, potentially on Ethereum, as Mr. Keys back there will talk about really soon here, will have all the regulatory framework built into the protocol layer and all the services associated with each of the spaces that apply to whatever it is you're trying to get involved in. You must meet these criteria or you won't be able to build on top of it. And it'll be automatically set in. This will speed up the process all the way around the board that we all experience when we're trying to get permits and licenses for the various businesses that we attend to. Speed up everything associated with it, and along with not only licenses and compliance, but also fees that are associated with it, and more importantly, time, right? So we all have a limited amount of time in this world, and it's invaluable because you can't get it back. But all the regulatory framework that you see is being built into protocol layers that soon as these countries evolve and they become more understanding, and also the blockchain itself, right? The technology itself has to be more mature and be more perfected, and the user experience has to increase dramatically, substantially for non-technical people to be able to use it. But as those things mature, you'll see all of those questions and all those concerns disappear because you won't be able to get involved in the industry unless you meet that criteria based on the protocol layer.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Let's give we gotta wrap this up, brother. Let's give our brother John Belitsky a round of applause. We'll let you get you back to the lunch.
Really appreciate it.
And I want to give all of you guys, listen to me. If you guys think I know some things, I don't. You know what I do? I know a lot of cool, really smart world leader friends of mine, people that are here in the audience. I'm so impressed by all of you guys. I learned from each and every one of you. And the things that I'm talking about and things that I'm doing is because I listen to world leaders in this space and I ask them a variety of questions. And I don't just sit up here and hang out. I read, I research, I learn, I ask questions, I probe. And that's what I encourage all of you here to do today. You probably don't even know the people that are sitting at your table next to you. Feel free to introduce yourself. My challenge to you guys is that you meet at least 10 people today that you did not know before. Get to know them. Don't give them your business card. If someone takes your business card, 90% chance it's going to go in the garbage. If he doesn't take out your phone and give you some sort of exchange of information, chances are you didn't do a good enough job of introducing yourself and making him feel like why you're interesting enough for him to take your information. Bottom line. So do that today. Let's enjoy the rest of our lunch. Thank you so much.
One last thing. Each of you can access our coin at pre-sale if you scan the card that I think my team has left with you guys, which I will tell you about another time.
Well, just meet with this brother if you want to learn more about Balcony DAO. Thank you so much. You have a good day.